What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie with a lot of famous metal and rock bands called the Retaliators. Let's check it out. Now, Retaliators is a movie that came out in the festivals like in 2021, like October. It was playing at Beyond Fest in England, and it played a few other places. It got like 10 nominations and like 6 wins. It has a ton of bands that are being supported by actual record labels like Papa Roach, Asking Alexandria, Five Finger Death Punch, Tommy Lee with Motely Crue, and a ton of other bands. A lot of them are starring in the roles of this movie. I wasn't expecting the acting to be very good there, but there are some surprises and things in that. A lot of cameos that you'll see in the movie as well. And this is a movie that's directed by 3 directors, by the way. We got Samuel Gonzalez Jr., Michael Lombardi, who's also starring in the film as the priest in the movie, which I'll explain here in a second. And we also have Bridget Smith. Now, all of these have done music videos for different bands like Papa Roach, music videos for Beachwood Coyotes. Michael Lombardi's also done music videos for Asking Alexandria and Bad Wolves. We also have 2 writers. So we got Darren Gear and we also have Jeff Allen Gear, which I'm assuming are brothers or related somehow. But this is the only thing that they've ever actually written for. So what is the Retaliators about? Well, it is about a priest played by Michael Lombardi, who is a father, has children and a family, and he is a pastor who is trying to be the good father and good pastor that he is. When tragedy befalls one of his family members, he comes spiraling out of control and wants to find out who killed his family member and goes in search of this person while another officer is looking for it. Something happens where he gets an opportunity to spend 1 minute with this person in a cell and actually do whatever he wants. And that is all in the trailer, by the way. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm like, okay, the acting seems okay in the trailer here. So let's see how it goes. So we got Michael Lombardi as the pastor. And we also have Mark Menchaca, who, if you know who he is, he's actually played a brother in the Ozark television series on Netflix, which I absolutely loved. I loved his role in it, and I've loved a lot of the movies that he's been in. So, what did I think of this movie? Well, it was below my expectations. I went in with a little bit higher expectations because I was like, wow, there's just so much going on. Maybe there is something good that will come out of this. Plus, I kind of like the story idea. I would like to see this pastor maybe go crazy or something like that. I think that they should have spent more time with the tragedy that befalls this character a little bit more for me to give a shit about the characters more. I felt like very distant from them, and I don't know if it's because they were focused on so many other characters because of all the cameos and things that they had to fulfill in it. Like Five Finger Death Punch plays a bunch of baddies in this. They work for a villain and shit like that. And then there's also like, Tommy Lee playing a bartender at one fucking point. All these different guys who are just in the movie that you're just like, holy shit. And there's like a lot of bands, guys. Like I couldn't even name them all off. Papa Roach, the lead singer, is actually playing a bad guy in this movie. He doesn't really have that many speaking roles or anything like that. So not like I got to see him act. But he's okay, I guess. A lot of them did better than I expected, but they were not really speaking roles, a lot of body language, things like that. This movie felt like it could have had some suspense and things for it, even if it starts off kind of typical in the beginning of the movie. And I'm okay with typical in the beginning of the movie, as long as you show me something good by the end or take me in a new direction or, slather me with gore. Speaking of gore, it's in this movie. It can be pretty gross and good. There is a couple of surprises in this movie that I don't know if I was buying story-wise. Like, it just kind of was like, okay, what? They turned this character into an auteur of, like, torture and craziness, and it just didn't make sense. It was, like, way too over the top, and it just pulled me right out of the movie instantly, because this movie is trying to be serious. Like, it's trying to play a serious role soul. It's not trying to take the piss out of you. It's not trying to be an homage like VFW, you know, the movie VFW, which is kind of like veterans of foreign wars against like punks, you know, which is kind of an homage-y thing to a certain era that they had of these types of films that were like exploitation film. It's like that, but it doesn't go there. And I would say it only goes as far back as the 2000s because it feels like one of those movies that would have been in the 2000s, like these sort of thriller, ultra gory, in your face kind of movies. It just kind of loses it by the third act. And when they reveal all these things, I was just like, okay, that's too much. But in the same regard, I was like, kind of, the movie was losing me in other ways because it feels like it's going in so many different directions that I was just getting a little kind of like, huh? The main star didn't do what I thought he was going to do and kind of ended in a nice way. Like, there was some performances in the movie that I thought did a really good job. You get Joseph Gatt in the film, who does a pretty meaty portion of the movie as a sort of assassin type guy in the movie, and he is unsettling. He does a really good stoic bad guy. He's been in a lot of different movies as a bad guy, but yeah, he didn't talk a whole lot, but he's, you know, he's actually pretty decent in the film. A lot of the other actors really just didn't stand out to me. Nothing really did at all, and it kind of got so schlocky towards that third act when they reveal this like thing that I can't talk about, and it just was too much for me. Now, you know, there were some gore elements in the movie where shit just goes loose and then everybody's dying and shit, which is kind of great. There's a couple of kills that are ridiculous that almost feel like they belong in like something like VFW. That movie is kind of like taking the piss out of itself and kind of making jokes and shit and kind of being an homage. This again isn't, so it feels like it doesn't belong. And that's the thing I think with this movie that unfortunately for me, it just has so many moments that just didn't fit together. And I had higher expectations for it, but you know, it's also not the worst thing I've ever seen either. I could see some people who were fans of like Papa Roach or Tommy Lee or, you know, any of the other bands, Five Finger Death Punch, that might want to go see this movie. The soundtrack is pretty cool for those people, I'm sure. I wasn't really drawn to it any particular way because I'm not really a big fan of any of those bands, but you know, it kind of worked with the movie itself, although there was segments that felt like they were trying to do the music video thing, a lot of shots that were done that way, but you know, that's just coming from that area. You do that, and I actually don't mind that oftentimes when movies do like a music video kind of feel to it. It kind of gives it this sort of art house feel to it. But this was kind of playing it straight. So again, it didn't really do anything spectacular that would have put it into like an art house category or anything that would have been like as original. It just was like a very typical story that goes in some surprising directions that I wouldn't have chosen on personally. Maybe they did exactly what they wanted, but it just felt like it was going in this direction and it went in a completely different direction. And once you see what's underneath, once the Wizard of Oz is revealed, it is not as good as you were expecting. And the end is kind of, I don't know, like, I hate to say this, but it kind of felt like I was watching a church movie. Like they were trying to reach some people and save some souls a little bit. And I know that's not going to be what people that made this movie want me to say. And every one of you are probably fucking pissed at me right now. And I'm sorry, guys. I have to be fucking honest. Like, I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I really did. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. Maybe my taste is just not as good as your taste, you know? That's how it works. You know, I see something that I don't like, but I know people that like some of the worst movies I've ever seen, but they love them. So maybe, you know, this just isn't for me, and it is for you. Going to be out in theaters September 14th at a limited run. I know they have a soundtrack out with all of the bands that are included in it, including the theme song, which has kind of like a mix. There's like the Asking Alexandria, The Hue, and like Motely Crue, and like 4 bands that do the theme song of this movie, which kind of has like a Christian overtone to it, which is weird to me. I don't know. I guess the best way to put it is that I was rooting for this movie the entire time. And just, there was moments in it that it was like, yes, here we go. And it just didn't get there. There was a couple of moments where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're popping. And then it just stopped. Kind of broken up that much and kind of let down my excitement for the moments that really should just driven the movie through the roof. And maybe there was some pacing issues that happened towards the end that made that happen or something. But, you know, I'm sure that they'll be able to come up with another movie again in the future. But this one was just not for me, I don't think. I'm thankful for the screener. Thank you for sending it to me. Hopefully you'll send me other ones in the future if you guys don't hate me so much. And who knows, maybe I'll watch this movie in the future and it'll click with me. That's happened before in other movies. I just found it very average. Maybe some people will like it a little bit more. The gore did keep the number up higher, but it didn't save the film. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the trailer? Are you going to go to the theater to see it? Do you already have tickets to see it at the theater? I would love to hear what you think about this movie in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like and subscribe button and the bell notification to let you know when I got new videos coming out. I do a wide swath of like different horror movies, underground to all the way to the top. Like, I love it all. I like to watch movies all the time, and I would love to help you find a movie that you would love too. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and as always, long live the boys.